Cool. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. Dive on in, have a chat, open up the chat box, tell us where you're coming in from, what part of the country, what part of the world you're joining us all from, and we'll just give it a few minutes as everyone dives in. Good. So don't forget, it's all being recorded tonight, so you can watch back. You don't have to take notes as if you would. This is not a lecture. So remember, we will, in about 3 or 4 days, send out a link to the recording, so you can go back and have a listen to the awesome speakers and just go, yeah, that was the point I wanted, or that was the bit I missed, just to really sort of remind you what you need to do. Just give it another minute or two to let the latecomers come in. I always love the, if you go into a meeting, you always turn up 5 minutes behind, 5 minutes early. If you go into a Zoom meeting, you turn up about a minute late, don't you? I mean, gosh, you've only got to go upstairs to your computer. I love it.
Quickly make that brew, Paul, isn't it? Gotta get the brew.
I know. The closer you are, the later you are to the meeting, no matter where you are. And if it's online, it literally is, there it is. Awesome.
No such thing as a silly question, guys. So please, if you're thinking anything to do with pensions that you would like asking, please just put it in the chat.
Absolutely. The whole idea of VetU is to try and be that link between us as vets and nurses in the community and the experts in the financial world. There's a divide, there's a big gap between us. So hopefully we can be that to be that bridge between the two communities. So any questions, fire them in the chat. even though you shouldn't feel, if you are a little bit nervous, by all means, send a private message either to Katie, who's on actually as VetU, when you have a look at the drop down, or myself. Send it as a private message and we can then ask it anonymously, or just fire it in the chat box and we'll ask away as we go. Just give it another 30 seconds and then we will pile on in. While we're here, just remember, sign up to the newsletter. If you go on to vetu.co.uk, you can sign up to the newsletter and we can keep you updated with upcoming webinars, tips and tricks, things that are coming up, SOPs, all the sort of articles that we've got coming up. So just sign up to the newsletter and we can keep in touch. Right, I think we're a couple of minutes in now, so hopefully we can get going and get started. Katie, can we move on to our first poll to have a chat with everybody? Oh, sorry, quite right. Let's give you a chat about what we're doing first before we dive straight in. So, have a little chat, introduce VetU and the awesome speakers that we've got on for this evening. Have a chat about how we're going to do the evening. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with Ruth. Ruth here on the call is our awesome financial advisor, just explaining what pensions are. Pensions 101. What are they? What do they do? What physically are they? How do we work with them? How do you benefit from them? And then after that, we're going to be going on to Phil and Katia, who are going to be here from Raindrop, which are a pension solution, online pension solution provider, who are going to actually show us how they can actually make your pension work for you. And then at the end, we'll have a little chat and a Q&A for everyone to pile in. I know there's a few questions that have already come in before that have been pre-submitted, and we can have a chat about those, and then it'll be open to everyone on the call to ask away. So, Katie, can we ask the first question? Quick poll then. How confident are you with pensions? Some people know all about them, most of us don't. Just have a click on exactly what you feel. How do you feel? How confident are you with talking about pensions?
Lots of 1s, 2s and 5s I can see.
There are, yes. I think with the cleverest out there are sort of at 5, lots of 1s and 2s. Absolutely not surprising. It's not really something that we know much about. It's not really something that we ever get taught at vet school. It is one of those things that you sort of go, okay, I'll think about it tomorrow. I'll think about it next week. I'll think about it next month, and sort of put it off. Cool. Yep. Loads of 1s and 2s. Up to 5, no one's above 5, no one's at 10. What a surprise. Even Ruth hasn't voted 10 for herself. I joke.
I'd be worried.
I'd be worried, exactly. Right, so before we get started, I'll just introduce VetU to you. Hopefully quite a few of you have already spoken to us, heard of us, come on webinars before, but VetU, who are we? We are 4 vets from across the profession, doing lots and lots of different parts of the profession. There's myself and Matt Dobbs are both farm animal vets. Ebony is a equine vet, and Katie is a small animal vet. But we've also dipped our toes in loads and loads of other parts of our awesome profession. We've been employees. We've been employers, we've worked for corporate companies, we've worked for independent companies, we've been owners ourselves of veterinary companies, we've been interns, we've been residents, some of us have even worked in the charity sector. We have diversified away and then come back to our profession after we've sort of had a look over the fence and seen if it's greener over there. We've got certificates, we've got diplomas, but we've also got side hustles and bits and pieces going on there. So hopefully we've sort of dipped our toes in lots and lots of parts of what this veterinary community, veterinary profession allows us to do. But although we probably didn't come into veterinary to make loads of money, we didn't do it just for the money, and I'm guessing most people on this call have not come into the veterinary community just to make lots of money, it is a lot easier to make decisions and to set yourself up for success if you are financially independent. If you are financially independent, you can then do things, you can make decisions and do stuff that you want to do rather than just having to stagger from paycheck to paycheck. So I suppose you can thrive rather than having to survive. And a lot of the differences between enjoying and being independent and really struggling are just small decisions that you can make. And the earlier on in your career that you make them, the easier it is to make them, and the bigger impact it then has on that future financial success. And probably none more than what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is pensions. You know, very small decisions made now will have big impacts 30, 40, 50 years in the future. It's always weird thinking that sort of time frame, that sort of time in the future, but very small decisions that we make now can make a huge impact on how enjoyable, how much fun you can actually have when you come to retire. So if we can move on to the next one, Katie. Who we have in tonight to speak to us. It's always important to get the experts in. We always get grumpy with Dr. Google when they come into the consulting room, so it's important for us to get the experts in to come and talk to us and our community. And so who we've got in today, we've got the awesome Ruth Downs, who I suspect quite a few of you have seen, met before, maybe even chatted to. She is a financial advisor who has helped many hundreds of us in our community with our financial independence, setting ourselves up and helping us to set ourselves up for the future. And she's going to be talking in the first half of this on just what actually a pension is. We're also joined by Katya and Phil, who are from Raindrop, which is a sort of a flexible online pension solution provider. And they are then going to actually talk through and show how they can physically set you up with a pension and walk you through that. And then at the end of that, we'll then open it up for Q&A and have a good chat. So that's kind of enough about us and me. Before we dive into the actual meat of the talk, it's going to be quite useful for our speakers to know who have we got on the talk. Are we all employees? have we got any employers? If you are, do you have a limited company? Are you a locum? Are you freelance? Are you a student, etc.? So just click on here, because it does make a difference to how you invest in your pension based on employed, employers, etc., etc. So have a click and we'll see. Excellent. Pretty much everyone is employed. Okay, guys. Right. Without further ado, I will hand over to the awesome Ruth, who, as I said, is a financial advisor and has helped many, many, many hundreds of us through VetU. Thanks.
Thank you very, very much. So, okay, let's crack on. Hello, everybody, and I hope you're all ready to get on the pensions gain train. It's going to be a lot of information. I'm going to be throwing quite a lot of knowledge bombs out at you. So stay engaged. I'll try and keep it top level. I've included some visuals as well, because I'm quite a visual person when it comes to explaining things, but yeah, we'll go through it. So who am I? Yeah, I'm Ruth, and I work for a company called the Platt Partnership in conjunction with St. James's Place. And I'll be guiding you through everything pensions today. So I do what I do because I like to try and take the confusion out of anything financial. I don't want you to think that it's scary, or you don't have answers to the questions you have for feeling you might be made to feel stupid. I couldn't come in and do what you do. So I wouldn't expect you to come in and do what I do. So please, please, no such thing as a silly question. Just the other thing to talk to you as well about is I might get very excited about pensions. Yes, I do like it. So Paul, Katie, the whole team, you're gonna have to call me out if I start going on about something. But some of the questions that are on the screen today are what we get asked a lot, and it's what you guys, I think, would like to know about. If there's anything different, please put it in the chat and we will certainly be going through them. So number one, what is a pension? A pension scheme is simply a type of savings plan, but it is a long-term savings plan to help you save money for later life. And there's some amazing tax advantages as well with pensions, especially compared to other types of savings. So how do they work? Pensions, are an awesome planning tool. They really are, but they are investments. You save some of your income regularly during your working life into a pension, and then this will give you money in later life when you want to work less or retire, or in my case, sip pina coladas on a beach somewhere, hopefully. That's the meaning of a pension. It's security for when you're older. So how does it work with taxes? So one of the best features of using a pension to save for retirement is the kind of tax relief that you can get, especially we've seen a lot of people are employed on the call today. So when you pay into your pension, some of the money that would have gone to the government as tax goes towards your pension instead. And this can help reduce the amount of tax that you pay and give your savings a boost for the future. So the tax relief that you get is given on the rate of income tax that you pay. Now, I work with a lot of people within the veterinary community in lots of different capacities. So majority of the people that I work with are basic rate taxpayers. So that means that you will earn less than about 50,000, well, £270 to be exact, in a year. If you're a higher rate taxpayer, you'll be earning more than that, and an additional rate taxpayer that starts at about 150 grand plus. We'd be so lucky. So 20% tax relief for a basic rate taxpayer, that is how much tax you will pay on relevant earnings. You will go on, as thank you for that, Katie, to how does the tax relief work? So we'll put it another way. As a basic rate taxpayer, if you want to put £100 into a pension, then you just need to put £80 into it. This is because the taxman will then add £20 to your pension pot. Higher rate taxpayers, they need to pay £60 to get the whole £100 because they get tax relief at 40%, so that's £40. And then top rate taxpayers, there's a mouthful, £55. So tax relief is really good. You put money in and then the government will then add money on the top And the more tax you pay, you can claim more kind of free money back from inland revenue that way. So lots of really good benefits of saving into a pension. The next slide, please. Now, this is a slide that I want to chat through, and I use it on all my my pension chats. And it's why it's so important to save for later life. It's called the 100-year life, and it's something that we all need to start thinking about and saving for. Now, I'm not sure like when you guys were born or how old you guys are, but let's just take 1987. So that's midway up the ladder. You can see there that in 1987, you're expected to live till 97 years old. If you're born in 1997, 99 years old, etc. So technology is advancing. People are living longer, which is obviously great, but then you have to make provisions for that, because I don't know about you, but at 85 years old, I'm not sure how good I'm going to be at what I do at that age. So we need to start kind of making hay while the sun's shining, and we can, and we're young. So if you decided to give up work at 65 years old, would you have made sufficient plans and income to provide for yourself for another 35 years? Just something you to have a think about. Next slide, please. I'll just kind of skip over or skim over this one a little bit, because I know a lot of the people on the call are employed, but there is a difference between being self-employed and being a limited company with pension contributions. If you have your own limited company, it's definitely worth having a chat, because if you make pension contributions through your company, if you're a limited company, it's classed as an allowable business expense. And then the tax relief that you get is then offset against the profits of your business via your company's corporation tax bill. So if you're employed, then if you make the contributions yourself and not through your company, that is when you get the government uplift that I was just telling you about on the previous slides. So it's just to give you a bit of an idea. Next slide, please, Katie. I want to go back to the question list. So I think we're up to who sets them up. Now, the wonderful people who are on this call, who that you've kindly invited on to chat to you today, these are the people that can help you set these pensions up. It all depends on whether you want advice and someone to help look at your kind of all-round personal circumstances, in which case you use a regulated financial advisor like myself, who will make a recommendation personal to you. Or if you want to manage it yourselves and simply set it one up, in which case you can deal with Raindrop, who are on the call today, and they'll be able to help you out. And they'll also show you how to do that. So you've got all bases covered for everybody's needs. So can you have multiple pensions? I believe this is one of the questions, Paul, wasn't it? Was, oh, I've got lots of little pots everywhere and I don't know what to do. So you can have, oh, go on. Do you want to say?
No, I was just agreeing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. So you can have a number of different pensions. 100% you can. But the problem with this is that each one will have different charges, will have different funds that you may be invested in, and also something that we call different attitudes to risk that you may have. So how you feel about an investment. So what I mean by that is that with one pension, you could be invested quite cautiously. Whereas with another pension, it might be slightly more risky. It could have been the default one that was given to you when you first went into that employment, and you need to manage them all to keep track on how much is where, and is it sufficiently growing to the amount that you need to retire on. It's much better, in my opinion, to have all the pensions in one pot. It can grow quicker, because let's face it, 5% growth for, let's say, for example, £2,000 compared to £40,000 is substantially different. And especially when the interest is then added back into your investment. the last thing that you want to do is have your hardworking money eaten away by the fees of that pension rather than actually growing for you. And I think I saw Katia and the team from Raindrop have a great slide about how much in pension pots is lost every single year. So why it's pretty important to make sure that you can keep track of exactly how many pensions you have and where they are, and just combine them in one, and then you don't have to think about it then. But that's my opinion. So why have a pension? One thing that unites us all, or nearly everyone, is the intention to stop working one day. It's good to have a plan and to set something up. With a plan, you can prepare for this. And the earlier that you start saving, the better, due to a wonderful thing called compounding and compound interest. And this is the process where interest is added to an existing amount, as well as kind of all the interest that's already been paid. So the next slide, please, that explains this. Daisy and Ken. If you watched any of my kind of chats, this is something that I love to bring up. So it's the power of starting early. Daisy there, she started at 25 years old, and she put in £200 up until the age of 65. So she put in the orange bar that you can see, 96,000. Now Ken, he started a little bit later. He started at 45, and that was absolutely fine. He still put in £400. So that was the same amount up to 65, because he put double the amount that Daisy did. So his total was also £96,000. But the compound interest that I talk about, with the interest being added back in and starting early, is Daisy's pot, because she started at 25, and this is based on a very modest 5% growth, grew by £210,476. Whereas Ken's, because he started later, it didn't have chance for all that interest to go back in. So his only grew by an extra £69,000. Now that's not to be sniffed at, but let's face it, you'd want 210,000 more than 69,000. So that's the power of starting early. And I hope that's that gets you all thinking. So next slide, please. Brilliant. Let's move on to what determines the size of the pot. There are many factors. How much you put into it, because that's going to be a big one. How frequently you want to put into it, and how cautiously or risky you want to be with your investment. And obviously where you invest it as well. So do you want an ESG fund? And before I get called out and put money in the pot, that's environmental, social, and governance fund. So do you have any aspirations to make sure part of your pension goes into that and for future generations, etc.? So there's other things such as international equities, emerging markets, bonds, the list goes on. But I wouldn't come into your job and be able to pick it up, like I said earlier. So I'm here to help work this out with you and guide you through the process to determine what kind of investor you are and give you some friendly advice about it along the way. So how frequently to contribute? Well, you can contribute as frequently as you like. People say, do I have to do like regulars or contributions, or can I just do a lump sum? You can do it however you want, monthly installments, lump sums at the end of the year, or whenever you can. It's worth committing to a certain amount though every month to get into a healthy habit. And if you only put a little in, then it can only grow by a little. So try remain as disciplined as you can, because at the end of the day, if you have like a disposable income every month coming in after you've paid all your bills, and that money then if it's there, you spend it. Whereas if you put it towards a plan, then obviously it's not there to spend. So when can you start taking it out? People, when can you access your pension? If you have a personal pension, people who are currently aged 55 years old are able to access their pensions. And now since 2015, there's a wonderful little thing called Pensions Freedoms. And you can access your pensions a lot more flexibly, taking as much cash or as little cash as you like and whenever you like. And it's worth noting, though, that for the majority of us that are on this call today, the government said that the age in which you can access your pension will rise. So for example, age 57 in 2028, or for me, it will be 58 in 2039. So what is auto-enrollment? A lot of you are employed. We saw that on the call in the poll earlier. So this is for people who are employed by a company and earn between about 6,000 and 50,000 a year. And it was launched in 2012. The aim of auto-enrollment is to increase the proportion of employees to save for retirement. Basically, the government was struggling to cope. People are living longer, and due to people not having as many babies, there aren't enough people in the workplace to pay tax, which helps fund the state pension. So if you're in an employed role, auto-enrollment now should be obviously well and truly kicked in, and it requires employers to provide pensions to employees and to automatically enroll you in a scheme, and more importantly, to combine on or to contribute on your behalf. So currently, enrollment is automatic for people aged 22 or over, earning a minimum of £10,000 for a single job. So your employer must write to you when you've been auto-enrolled. So I'm sure a lot of you will have had that already. So contribution rates, how much? I'm sure a lot of people will be like, there's some percentage rates and I'm not sure what they are. The great thing is that you have contributions from the company, contributions you put in yourself, and then you get free money from the government. Well, hey, who doesn't like that? So currently the minimum employer contribution is 3%. You pay 4%, and then the government pays in an additional 1%, giving a total of 8%. So there's a wonderful thing I'm going to throw at you now called salary sacrifice that you can have. And I'm not sure if you've heard that or read that in any of your documents that your company has given you. Your employer may allow you to contribute more into your pension by sacrificing, hence the name, part of your salary. I just set one up with a company who was offering up to 10% matching contributions. And it's always great to check if you have one within your scheme and what is available. So state pension, last one. This is so important, and it gets overlooked quite a lot. I just want to spend a little bit of time here, just looking at the time. So how much state pension you'll get is based on your national insurance contribution history. You might see it on your pay packet, NICs, national insurance contributions. You need a minimum of 10 years contributions or credits to get any state pension, and 35 years on your record to get the full amount. Now, I bet you're thinking, ooh, I can find out how much I have. There's a wonderful form called BR19. And what the heck's that? Okay, BR19 form. It is your state pension forecast. So if you've got Google or a search engine, type into it, what's my state pension forecast? And it will pop up, and I'll put it in the link after this chat where you can find it, but it's really useful to have. Now, you can claim your state pension when you reach state pension age. So for people reach state pension age now, it will be around age 66. And it's great because you get an extra, I think it's £9,600 a year if you have the full national insurance contributions. And I just want to say very quickly that if you go into it, knowledge is power. So if you go into it, a lot of people forget that they even have it, but you're paying for it. So you might as well know what's where. I went on mine and I show people that I have meetings with, and I happily get mine up and show it. I'm all sharing's caring. I'm fine with that. But I see in certain years, you'll see that I might not have contributed £8 of national insurance contributions to get a full year. And they won't give you that year. It doesn't matter how much you've contributed in that year. If you haven't done the full amount, you don't get it. Whereas if you do it within a certain time frame, you can actually pay the additional £8 and get an extra year added on. It's phenomenal. I might do a separate session on that. Okay, I need to shut up now. I'm getting a bit excited about state pension. So we might do another one on that. And then very finally, I think there's a slide, but it's just on how much will you need? And that's something for you to think about. The Pensions and Lifetime Savings Association very kindly carried out an analysis to help savers get a handle on how much different lifestyles will cost when the time comes to take the plunge and enter the world of retirement. So if you look at that, for an individual outside of London, a minimum standard of living will cost £10,900 per year. Now, that's not too far off state pension. However, a few things to think about. Do you really want to wait until 67 before you stop working? And do you only want to holiday in the UK? Because that pina colada is not going to go down very well sat on Cornwall Beach. As beautiful as it is, it's not very warm. So do you want to keep your car as well? And is £10 enough for a birthday present? Whilst guidance like this is great, and it's a great starting point, the question that really needs answering is this. And it's what I ask all my clients. What does your minimum look like? Because Paul's will be different to Katya's, will be different to Phil's, to Katie's, to mine. So what does your minimum look like? And this is something that I can work with you to help find out. So there we go. And then just summarizing everything we've discussed today. Thank you so much. Start as soon as you can. Definitely. Get on this gains train pension. It pays to, to start early with this. Save more if you're able to. Make hay while the sun's shining. If you don't have much outgoings and you're currently renting but have a good income, maybe look at putting more in now. You can alter the amount that you pay in. There's different ways that you can work it out, but affordability is key. So make sure that you're only living and spending within your means, because the last thing you want to do is lock money away into a pension that you're not able to access till you're kind of 57, 58, and then you might need it. So review your pensions as often as you can. I meet with all my clients annually. I give them forecasts up to retirement, but just make sure you log in to find out how it's doing. And especially with current times, with what's happening with Russia and Ukraine, you might just want to double check where it's invested and how that investment's been doing. And stay enrolled. I tell you what, when people tell me that they've opted out of their workplace pension scheme, I start sweating. I really do, because I'm like, I ask why. Is it affordability? What is the specific reason for that? Oh, well, I want more money in my pay packet. Well, if you can't afford your bills, then yes, but you're going to be missing out on on the amount of money that your employer's paying in for you as well. So you're getting extra money there. And can you take more risk? Is that the appropriate investment for you? The further you are away from retirement, the more risk you can consider taking. So it's all about that time frame. And here endeth the lesson from me.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruth. That, I think, has set the scene really nicely. I hope everyone's got a good idea now about what they actually are. And one of the points that Ruth mentioned during her talk was ethical investment. Now, we did a talk, VetU did a talk a few months ago on exactly this. So if you are interested, you can go back on the website and actually rewatch this talk, which really goes into detail on it. But basically, ethical investing initially started out with, we should invest our money not in companies that are that we feel are doing bad. Perhaps we need to move away from armaments companies or maybe even oil companies, etc. But it's moved even further now. So instead of not investing in some companies, it's now saying, well, maybe we should positively invest in companies that do good, rather than just not investing in companies that we feel do bad. So just as a question out there, is ethical investment something that you are interested in?
You also have negative screening as well. So if you discount a company or because of what they do, that's called negative screening. So you're taking it out, but then you can positively screen companies in that are actively trying to help. So there's lots of different ways that they go into this.
Awesome. Lots of people saying yes there, a few people saying unsure. Again, it's something to think about. It's something that I know a number of people in our community are interested in. If you want to know more, please get in touch. Ruth can talk you through it, or you can go onto our website and have a look at the actual webinar and a few of the documents that are out there around it. Right, now I'd like to move on and introduce Katia and Philip from Raindrop to talk us through pensions in more detail. Hi, guys.
Hi everyone, so I'm Katia, a marketing manager at Raindrop. So as we've kind of mentioned, we offer a kind of all-in-one pension solution, which you can easily set up yourself in just kind of 10 minutes. So I'm just going to talk through a little bit today about how you set up your pension. Some of our key features are find and combine service to help bring all of those into one, all your pension pots into one place, and also the pension calculator that we have as well. So let me just share my screen. Perfect, hopefully everyone can see that. So when you come to sign up for Raindrop, so as we mentioned, I think previously, we've got a offer at the moment for £25. So if you open a pension with us, we will put £25 into your pension account. So we've got a referral link, which I'm sure Katie and the VetU team will share with you after. So to sign up, it's just 4 pretty simple steps. We estimate what your pension could be worth, kind of along the lines of the example that Ruth was showing earlier. Pick an investment plan for you, verify your identity, and set up your initial payment. So starting with the estimation of your pension. So we just ask for a few details so we know how long you're likely to be invested for, and also whether you are employed, self-employed, director of a limited company, so that, as Ruth mentioned, we can get an idea of whether you would be eligible for the tax top-up from the government. So these, you can kind of play around with the inputs here, so you can change the contributions or your retirement age. But for this, I've done an example for £300, which brings out a projected pension value of 200,000. So that's made up of your contribution as well as the basic rate tax relief. So we assume the basic rate there, which would give you 30,000 just in tax relief, as well as your pension growth. And that minus the inflation brings out your total projected pension value. We do also offer a pessimistic and an optimistic projection, and that's pretty much dependent on kind of the larger economy and how your pension might grow. One thing that a lot of people find very useful is we also have a kind of spending power graph. So I'll just put this on the realistic, but you know, if you think you're going to spend, for example, £1,800 a month in retirement, have that kind of minimum or comfortable level of retirement, then you can see that your pension will last till about 75. But if you boost your contributions a bit each month, so say you can spend 400, boost your overall pot to more like 270,000, then it goes from lasting 75 to close to 78. So you can have kind of a play around with that as much as you like. But we then move on to picking an investment plan. So as everyone was saying, we saw a lot of people on the poll that are interested in a environmental social governance plan, which Ruth mentioned. And we do offer both a tailored plan and an ethical plan at Raindrop. So our tailored plan is offered by BlackRock. They are the largest asset manager in the world. And we offer something with them called a target retirement date fund. And what that basically means is that it adjusts your investments as you get closer to your retirement age. So just as Ruth was talking about risk, it invests you in those kind of higher risk, potentially higher reward things. When you're further from retirement, you kind of have more of an appetite for risk and you're really wanting to grow your pension. And then as you move closer to retirement, it moves you into kind of lower risk, potentially lower reward, but it really gives you more stability as you come through to getting closer to kind of wanting to draw down from your pot. And it does that all automatically for you, and at a fee of 0.75% per year. Our ethical plan is offered by Legal & General, who are one of the UK's largest money managers, and that focuses on investing in companies that score highly on environmental, social and governance. So it doesn't invest in tobacco companies or controversial weapon companies, and it's slightly more expensive at 0.79% per year. So for this, I'll just go with our tailored plan, which is what most of our customers go for. It takes the retirement age that we used earlier for the estimation, but you can change that if you'd like. And what it does is it just matches your current age with your planned retirement age to give you the kind of matching fund. So I will choose 28 to 33 here. And here you can see a bit on the cumulative historical returns, the asset breakdown. So here you can see this is mostly invested in equity, but if you're kind of closer to your aiming retirement age, then it will have more in cash and debt. And you can also see some of our frequently asked questions here as well. So once you've selected the plan that you'd like to invest in, we then just have a few questions that are just to kind of verify your identity. Okay. And after this, we will start setting up your oh no, we've got just a proof of address. So if you have moved recently, you might need to provide your previous address as well, which you can just add in here. And then we'll just play your details back to you, and you've got the kind of documentation here if you want to have a deeper look at the illustration, or which is kind of the projection, or if you want to have a look at our kind of terms and conditions as well. So once you've confirmed those details, then it will go through to your payment. If you are a limited company director and want to pay through your limited company, we would just ask for a few more details about your limited company here. So our pension is completely flexible. We don't require you to have kind of a minimum payment. You can pay with doing this for this example monthly, but you can choose to open with a one-off payment as well. We just need a payment of £1 to open your account. And that then is you just confirm your direct debit and you're all set up. So that takes kind of a minute or so in the background. So move this slightly Blue Peter style. Here's one from earlier. So this is the live pension dashboard that you would get once you've signed up. So this shows your live pension value and you can check it at any time. So from the dashboard, you can really easily top up. So do a one-off top up. It just takes a couple of clicks and that will go from your direct debit that you've set up earlier. If you like, you can also change your monthly contributions. This just takes a second while I'm screen sharing, but you can change them here. You can set it to 0 if you want to pause them at any time and restart it whenever you like. You can also change your plans as you'd wish. So you can see here, this has gone from the BlackRock tailored plan to our ethical plan and a different BlackRock tailored plan as well. So you're able to chop and change how you'd like to. And one big question I know there is for lots of people today is those kind of small pension pots that they have. So with auto enrollment and us kind of changing jobs more frequently, lots of people are ending up with lots of small pots. So if you've kind of kept on top of all your paperwork and you know where those pensions are and you know your policy numbers and you just want to bring them all together, you can do that easily through this kind of transfer a pension here. You just need to pop those details in and we'll get that transfer sorted for you. If like lots of people, you know you've paid into a pension, you know that it's kind of there somewhere, but you're not sure exactly where it is, you can use our pension find and combine service. So all you need to do is pop in the employer's name and the dates that you worked there. If you know your pension provider, then that really helps us speed up, but it's completely not compulsory. And your previous postcode, if you were living somewhere else at the time, also helps speed up, but isn't required. And you will then have a dedicated pension assistant from our Raindrop team. They will look after your pension searches and find those pensions for you. We are the only UK pension provider who has a bespoke service where we look for your pensions for you. All we need is the employer's name, and once found, we'll then bring them together into your Raindrop pension. So your dedicated pension assistant will kind of keep you updated throughout, but you also have a tracker within your dashboard. So this will show all of your pension searches, kind of what status they're in. So if we're searching for them, where is that kind of searching progress? If they're being transferred, have we received that transfer? And also the amount of that policy as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to show, so this is our pension calculator. It's similar to what I showed at the beginning of the sign up process. So we have that kind of area where you can play around with the age you want to retire and how much you'd like to contribute to your pension each month. And that will come out with your projected pension value, including that kind of tax relief section and the spending power graph. But here, fairly similar to kind of what Ruth was showing you, it can show the impact if you delay your pension. So this is kind of a personalized version of that graph that Ruth was showing earlier. So you can see here that in this example, if you delay saving into your pension by 4 years, even just a small time can have, a 13% impact on your overall pension value. So in this example, if you had a £310,000 pot, if you delay for 4 years, it could be 268,000. And conversely, it also, you can see how a small increase in your monthly contributions can make a big difference. So here, if we're starting with £200 a month, but every year for 5 years, we up that monthly contribution by £25, then our pot could be 56% bigger. So massive growth from 185,000 to 289,000. So potentially kind of a bit to think about there. So hopefully that's kind of everything covered in terms of signing up for a pension, some of the kind of key features in our plans, and the our find and combine service and our pension calculator as well.
Cool, thank you. Thank you very much. What I love about Raindrop is that the financial world has for a hell of a long time been stuck in the 18th century with how it works. I set a pension up just after I qualified. They send me through the post once a year how much is in it, and it took me a long time to work out. I really had to go and struggle to work out what my pension provider was charging me in my annual fee, whereas this is all instantaneous there, it's transparent, and it's there for you to look at when you want to look at it, which is obviously, it's nice to see the world is caught up, or the financial world is starting to catch up. So awesome. Not surprisingly, guys, we have got lots and lots of questions that have piled in, so we'll just start off with the Q&A now, and well, probably both yourself, Ruth, and Phil and Katia from Raindrop will sort of play it by ear. Whoever feels best placed to answer would be good. We've had quite a few around a very similar topic, so I'll try and précis or get it. So basically, everyone's got a workplace pension. They've got a workplace pension. What should they do if they want to increase their contributions? Should they increase it with their workplace pension, or should they set up a separate one, perhaps with Raindrop? And I'll just add a little extra in there because I think there'll probably be two options. One is, as Ruth said, where the employer matches your contributions, and one is perhaps where the employer doesn't match your contributions. I don't know what you think. So what should I do? I've got a workplace pension, but I'd like to put more. I'd like to invest more. Who'd like to go? Ruth?
I don't mind. I'll go. So 100%. Lots of different options there. depending on personal circumstances, the one main benefit, I mean, you need to find out if your company offers this wonderful thing called salary sacrifice, because it's fantastic if they're going to pay, if you're going to pay more in and they match it, or you might be able to just pay more in yourself. So what happens with the pension contribution is that pension contribution will come out before national insurance contributions and also your income tax has been paid. So it's a really good way of making sure that you can contribute to your pension and your salary doesn't go down by that much, but obviously it's something you'd have to work out together to do if you wanted to do that. However, caveat, you will be tied in for at least a year if you stay with that employer if you do something called salary sacrifice. If you wanted, if for instance someone came to me and said that that's what they were thinking of doing, I get something called letters of authority. So you just sign a form that allows me to look into the details of your pensions. And then I can't change anything. I can't do anything. I can just look at the details of it to find out what your company offers. And then I will compare it to a personal pension and tell you whether it's going to be better for you to do it via your company or do it personally. But yeah, if you do them personally, then you get to manage it yourself, how much you put in, whether it be monthly, whether it be regulars, and you can change it. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it. It's whether what's available with who you're with currently, or whether you want to manage it yourself and have a personal pension either through Raindrop, or whether you want to set it up and be managed by a financial advisor on your behalf. Have I covered everything, Phil and Getty? Have I done that?
I was just going to add one more point, which is, yeah, as I think a lot of us mentioned before, a lot of us are going through a lot of different jobs in our lifetime. And as you mentioned, obviously your employer does typically give you those extra 3% or match your contributions. But obviously when you stop working for them, they're obviously not going to keep contributing for you or on adding on that to you for you. So often, you know, again, given your personal circumstances and what you'd like to do, sometimes maybe it makes sense to have a personal one, which you can keep putting those old employer pensions into as you move from job to job, so that you don't end up with 7 or 8 left behind. Typically the job that you'll have will be what we call an active pension, i.e. one that your employer is contributing to. But then when you move, you know, if you don't want to lose track of it, a personal pension is just one that will always stay with you, as opposed to being left behind at your old employment. So, you know, sometimes maybe one of the solutions is to have one of each, one with your current employer so that you get the best of those contributions, and one that's on the side as a pot for good housekeeping.
I always like to call that pot your little home pot, because you have one home for all of your pensions, so that if you leave, you can then put your old workplace pension into that home pot. So there's always one home for it. So yes, it might mean you have two pensions, but it's also the one home that you can manage.
We used to nickname it the rainy day fund, hence the name Raindrop.
Excellent. Cool, thanks guys. Next one, probably I think this one's to Raindrop. So how do they make sure that they get their tax-free that 20% or 40% or even 45% paid in? Who does it? Is it themselves or is it Raindrop? Just sort of clarifying where the tax-free money comes from.
Yeah, so with basic tax top-ups, we collect that automatically for you. So you pay in your contributions as you would, and that will, there's kind of a bit of a process for HMRC, but that will automatically be added to your pension, so you don't have to do anything further with that. But with those higher and additional rates, you do have to put those on you have to declare those yourself with your self-assessment. So we aren't able to automatically collect those, but you're able to collect those via your self-assessment. Cool,
thank you. Next one is, if they have a workplace pension, do they have to pay into that one, or can they ask on auto enrollment to pay into a different pension?
99% no, you can't pay into a different one. There's some very, very few pension employer pension pension providers that will allow you to pay into Think about it like this: auto enrollment, they have to set a pension up for you. So they have to do it and they comply with that. If they have more work to do and set it up to somewhere else that you want, then they're not going to want to kind of do that for you, which is why only few places do it. And I wouldn't move a pension away from a current employer that you're working with, because you will lose that extra money that your employer is paying in on your behalf, which, let's face it, you don't want to do. So yeah, I'd keep an employer pension where it is. And then I would, like you said, have one home for another pension where you can manage how much you put into that separately.
Cool. Thanks. I thought that might be the case. Or a few sort of variations with lots of detail, and I think I probably know the answer. How much should I put into my pension? A very difficult answer, I'm sure.
Phil, do you want to do that, or do you want me to?
I'm more than, I mean, I think as you very rightly put on one of the slides a while back, like the most important thing with a pension is really just getting started. So it's, you know, as little or as much as you want to put in and getting into good habits. I think obviously you can go and track, and as Ruth mentioned before, there are great tools to use out there, like the Pension Lifetime Savings Association, which can try and help you gauge what you might need. But understanding your minimum through someone like a independent financial advisor is also a great route to getting started on that question. But even if that number maybe looks daunting into what you think you need to put in to get to maybe where you want to be, I think that the overarching message is just really getting started. Because as you hopefully saw there, and you can play around with that tool, there is generally a path to getting there later on, even if you start small now and ramp up later. So that's my sort of caveated response. Ruth, do you have anything to add?
I've had so many different, I've had so many people come to me for this with different weird and wonderful ways of doing it. Oh, I've got to put 15% of my salary in there. I'm like, where did you get that figure from? Because to me, I'm always about, it's affordability. Okay, you cut your coat to your cloth. So that means that you just look at what you're being paid, and then you work out your disposable income, and that you have a wonderful expenditure. So like a financial sheet that you can work out how much you come out with every single month after all your bills have been paid. And you look at that figure and you go, well, how much can I pay? Because you can't say I'm going to put X amount in if that takes you into negative amount every single month. So every single person is different, and it depends what age you are. Do you need to start thinking about paying more because you've started a bit later, or have you started early, in which case you can put kind of smaller amounts in more regularly? So it is very, affordability for me is key, making sure that it is sustainable and that you can keep up with those payments rather than panicking and just doing what you heard somewhere. But don't forgive yourself, because you're not taught this stuff. So, you know, let us help and guide you through that with what is going to be the right choice and the right amount for you.
Cool. Thank you. Another one's just popped in, which is, should I, if I've got a bit of spare cash, should I be putting that into pension, or should I be putting it into an ISA?
Do you need accessibility? Do you need to access that money? Because if you do need access before you are whatever age you may be, 57, 58, which is when it'll be tied into a pension for, if you want access to that money before then potentially, depending on your circumstances, an ISA, also known as an individual savings account, would be the option for you.
Cool, thank you. And there's, I know we've sort of semi-touched on it already this evening, but there's still a couple more coming in around about, basically, I've got so many pensions. Should I, apart from the current working one, I think we've clarified that, all my other ones, yes or no, should I combine them into one? Let's make it nice and simple. Is that? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see so many pensions, and they're eaten away by the funds of, the prices of the fees of the pension provider, and it just goes down and down and down. It's like, don't have that happen. Have it all combined in one, so there's one amount, and it's not being, these smaller pots aren't eaten away. I'm always like, don't let don't let the pension providers win by eating away at your hard-earned cash because of fees. Put them all in one so it grows well for you. That's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, and just to add to another part on that, typically with most pension providers, their fees will go down the more you have with them as well. So if you bring them all together and you hit certain amounts of money saved with them, the fees from that part onwards incrementally are lower. So there is an actual proper other fee advantage as well, generally sometimes with each individual provider. Obviously, each has their own fees, but within that one provider, it's likely that it's cheaper with more assets saved with them, with more money saved with them.
That's interesting there, because I was always thinking it was based on a percentage, and therefore what was the benefit of sticking it all together or not? It's just a percentage, but that really makes sense now. Last question, unless anyone fires one more in before that's really good, but this one's a punchy one. What do people mean when they say there won't be a state pension for them when they retire?
And you've not. There won't. Who's saying that?
I suppose there might be some people on here who are quite young, and there's quite a long time to go, and the risk is that governments change, decisions change, the elderly they get more of them. Can we afford pensions in 50, 60, 70 years time? I suppose that's probably where it's going. So some people are saying that there won't be a state pension for you when you retire because it's so far away and we won't be able to afford it. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a question and a half, that one.
I thought it might be.
You're getting into debates here with this. Is it guaranteed that you're going to get a state pension? No. Is it highly likely that you will? Yes, because there's not a chance that I think, in my personal view, that you pay your national insurance contributions for your state pension and then they get that gets taken away from you. I think if it does get taken away, then it'll be replaced by something else in its stead. But I mean, as a rule of thumb, you can then plan for without it. If you're worried that that's going to be the case, plan as if you're not going to get it, and then it's an added bonus if you do. I would always forecast it in any way based on your state pension forecast and how you're accumulating those years and how it's going. But yeah, that's you get into, is it going to be available? Yeah, it's a question that causes a lot of debate with a lot of people, but I think you're safe in that it will be there, and if it's not, then there will have to be something in its place.
Cool.
I think another way as well of thinking about it is look at what the state pension is today, right? Which is not just over £9,000 a year. And, obviously looking at your personal circumstances, but how many people today think they could live off of just £9,000 a year? So maybe in a cliche sense, the question is this: the state pension isn't enough now, maybe having something else on the side anyway is a good bet or a good hedge either way, regardless. So just something to add to the thought process.
Cool. And it keeps getting older and older, the age at which we're going to get it as we go through. Cool, brilliant. Thank you so much. That was awesome, as I knew it was going to be. Just to finish it off, can we just sort of answer the question that we asked at the very beginning? How confident are you with pensions now you've sat through and listened for the last 45-50 minutes or so?
I'd also love to know, what was everyone's biggest takeaway from today's session? So what was your kind of aha moment where you thought, I never knew that, but now I do? Like, what do you think? What is it that really resonated with you, that like struck a chord?
Brilliant. Stick it in the chat box, but it's awesome to see. Guys, you've done a great job. We've taken them from 2s and 3s up to 6, 7 and 8s, even someone at 10. I mean, unless that was Ruth just sneaking in there and filling.
No, I didn't. I promise, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Brilliant. Well, thank you again so much. We have recorded it. We will be sending this out to everyone who registered, so you'll get a recording that you can then watch back and just really have a look at those tips and tricks. All I can say is, if you want to keep hearing from us and keep knowing what's coming up, we have every few weeks a webinar or a talk on a specific topic around personal finances. Come and register with us at the website at VetU. If you want to have a chat with Ruth, go onto her Calendly link and book in a call, and you can then just have that first meeting and a chat with Ruth about anything and everything that to do with finances. If you really like what Raindrop's doing and want to get that £25 in your pot and get that instant access, instant technical solution to your pensions, then please log on the bit.ly link there to vet your Raindrop and go through, vet you Raindrop, sorry, and go through and register with them. And then our next webinar that's coming up is Your Financial Freedoms, which is on the 14th of June. Follow us on socials at VetU Community on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And then finally, if you have a look at the digital delegate bag, there's loads of stuff in there. There's loads of pre-records, there's loads of budgeting tools, there's loads of webinars and talks on how to negotiate your pay better, etc., etc. Have a little look on the QR code or follow the VetU delegate bag link. Apart from that, thank you so much for giving up your time this evening, and hopefully we'll get to see you again soon. Thank you to Raindrop, thank you to Katya and Phil, and obviously to Ruth. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Always a pleasure. If anyone wants to stay on and ask anything, please feel free to do that.